What's going on, guys? In today's video, we're going to be talking about how you should be playing Bind. Because Bind, to a lot of people, is a map that nobody likes, but I don't know. I kind of like it for some reason. I'm a weirdo, I guess. So to start, we're going to be talking about defense, and more specifically map control. Now on Bind, there are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different areas of the map that you typically want to control when on defense. Not all at once, I should add. Just you want to hold at least, I'd say at least one part of each map. So like on A, you want to hold at least shower, backside, or U-haul, and on B side, you only want to hold hookah, long, or elbow. You want to hold at least one of the three on each side. But why is that important? So let me show you an example. So let's say, for example, that the enemy team is taking A, right? So let's say they're pushing in. Let's say you got Brim and Rays playing in U-haul, right? Let's say, for example, they go trade for trade. Let's say that goes like this. So Brim's alive in shower, Fade's backside, she's vibing out, but the other three got up hookah, and they killed the Fade. Oh well, they killed the Fade. So now it becomes a 3v3. But Brim is still in shower. So your B players come over and rotate, right? Now that you still have this backside control, you still have this shower control. Maybe you don't have backside, but let's just say you peeked out, you saw there's nobody there. You got backside, you got showers. This makes it a lot easier for you to take the site. You only have to worry about maybe bench, U-haul for sure, and then short. Only 3 different spots that they can be in. So Brim could kind of clear this out by himself. He can kind of just like jiggle peek this, see if anybody's playing in this area. Notice that nobody's there, and then once you notice nobody's there, you could like just Brim smoke this off, and then all you have to worry about is U-haul, which is an important position to hold because you could still spam the bomb from this area kind of, but you have Skydog to clear it out, and then the retake just becomes a lot easier. But let's say, for example, Brim doesn't know how to play the game, and he wasn't playing in shower, he was playing like backside, right? Well, now the retake becomes a lot more awkward because the bomb is planted here. Where's the thing? If it's planted towards truck, now you can be spammed from shower, you can be spammed from short, and you can be spammed from U-haul. And that doesn't give you a lot of time to clear all that out if you only have Brim, Sky, and Chamber. It just makes it really awkward. How are you going to clear out shower? You have to run across site, first off, which exposes you to like 8 different angles. Then you have to clear showers itself, which is awkward in of itself. And it's just not easy. Or vice versa. Let's say, for example, you held U-haul, right? But like they took this, they have all this. Okay, well, this makes it easier because now you can just smoke shower, right? You come out, you clear bench, you clear truck, and you clear all this. Brim can help out over here, and it's just an easier retake. Retakes are just a lot easier on this map with this map control. Now, on B, the same thing applies. Let's say, for example, you got... we'll do the same scenario. Let's say Brim's held hookah held down real well, and Sky and Chamber... I was going to use all 5 teammates, but that just doesn't... We don't really need to. But let's say this is a situation you're ended up in. They did a B split, and now this is what you got. So now Sky and Chamber, they can re-clear elbow. All right, they take back this space. Maybe they go trade for trade in there. So maybe he dies, and you have Brim in here. You have Brim and Sky. So what you can do from here is you smoke off long. You throw a Skybird out there. You blinds the Brimstone, who's isolated by himself on site. And it's just a lot easier to retake. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Being able to retake from elbow, from hookah or long is just a lot stronger from just retaking from CT. Because if you're all funneling onto this one choke point, you're gonna get spammed through smoke. Let's say, for example, Brim wasn't playing hookah. Let's say he's a bad player, right? And he's CT, and the enemy team has all of this map control, has all this. You got like a Brim spamming you from sight, plus a Molly, plus these 2 guys are flashing you and nading you and stuff. It just becomes really ugly really fast. So like this, something like this, or however you want to do it, something like this looks a lot easier than something like this. And notice how it's just one simple player movement. It depends on what the player did that round. Now, how you fight for that map control is another story in of itself. So let's say, for example, you got Brim and Rays playing in here, and you got the enemy Fade and Chamber, just for example purposes, or we'll use Rays because Rays always goes hookah. So let's say you decide to Brim smoke this off, maybe you molly it, right? They use their Roomba, they use their nade, they use their paint shells, they use all their utility, right? And now you guys decide, okay, We used enough utility. They used a lot. Let's leave. Let's go on to site now, right? We can go site, or we can go back into elbow, right? We can still hold this map control, because now their site hit is naturally going to be a lot weaker. They don't have paint shells. They don't have the Roomba. They could have, instead of a chamber, maybe they had a fade. Maybe they used a fade dog or like a sky dog or something. They don't have this utility to dump onto site, because if you remember, I didn't talk about B site being like a spot that you normally want to play, right? And that's because B site's usually a util dump. You're gonna get naded, you're gonna get sucked, you're gonna get mollied, you're gonna get flashed, you're just gonna get beat up if you're on site. But that's not true if the enemy team doesn't have a lot of utility. So let's say you got this setup, right? They used their paint shells, they used a dog and everything, and they did all that jazz. And now Chamber, for example, let's say he broke a sky dog, right? And then he went to go play in this cubby. Now, if these two guys retreat to site, you got like one playing maybe backside, you got Brim playing backside, you got Raze in this cubby, and you got Chamber here. Now, this is a really strong crossfire, and if you don't have a lot of utility, you're probably going to like die, right? So let's say the enemy team's falling out on the site. If they come out long, Chamber has first point of contact, and they're running into a big crossfire, because Brim can swing out, Raze can swing out and pinch these guys. If they jump out of hookah, same concept applies. And Raze still has her paint shell. She can still nade as they're running out, or they can still, they can still do whatever. And it just becomes a lot. Fighting on this map and fighting for map control makes defense so much easier on this map. And that's the point I'm trying to get across. You want to fight for map control, right? Like I mentioned before, but you don't want to fight too much to the point where you're throwing, because you can't just sit in here forever, because eventually what's going to happen is that the offense, they're going to play trades, because that's just how it works. Yeah, one guy swings, he kills one guy, but you trade him, and this guy swings, he trades you. Like theoretically, by the book, that's just how it should work. And trades always favor the T side, because they're trying to get to the bomb site. If, let's say for example, you got 3 teammates playing here, but they send all 5, right? And let's say you kill 3. Yeah, you killed 3. That's great, right? But all 3 of you died. It's still a 2v2, not in favor of the CT side, because they can go long, they can go hookah, they can go wherever they want, they can set up some crossfire, right? But yeah, so you should be fighting for map control, but you don't want to overextend, because you're just going to get traded, right? But you also don't want to fight for map control you don't want to fight at map control all the same way, right? You want to get creative with it, because if you fight for hookah 3 rounds in a row, eventually they're just going to util dump you. They're going to make sure that you can't leave, and I have some examples to show you in a bit. They're going to make sure you can't leave. They're going to make sure that you're staying in there and you're going to die. So you want to do something like some creative traps. You could do like traps. You could do something like a classic one. Throw a chamber trap here. You got a sky sitting around the corner. The trap goes off. She whips a flash around this corner. It's a pop flash. Everybody dies. Everybody gets blinded. She jumps and swings, and then chamber swings with her, and they kill whoever's there. You could do something like a chamber trap and hookah. Throw it here. Race is playing behind this box, on A. She throws the nade off the TP, and then maybe you have Sky sitting here too. She pops a flash and blinds everybody in hookah, and then you win. All right, it's like a little trap. So like the enemy team thinks like, oh, hookah's free this round. Maybe they don't have somebody playing in here. Maybe they're doing something different. Maybe it's free, right? But if they're not careful, they're going to run into this trap that you set up. So there's traps. You can just fight for it normally. You can trade util for util. But keep in mind, when you're going util for util, you want to come up out on top of that util battle. You don't want to use more util than they're using. But also you could do some like aggressive plays, right? So like you could say, for example, that maybe you've smoked this almost every round, right? You smoke the entrance every round, right? And they're like, oh, they're smoking it. They're just going to break my Yuma, they're going to nade, right? But maybe this round, you smoke it, and then Sky she runs up and just throws a flash out of it and just kills 3 because they didn't expect it. You don't want to be predictable on how you're fighting for these areas of map control. And there's many ways you can do it depending on your team comp. And keep in mind, this was just one example. I'm only using hookah. You could do things on B long. You could do you could pop flash out of long. You could do some crazy fade things. I'll show you in a second. You could do things towards shower. You smoke shower and then you molly it, or like you just start up a crossfire, or like you set up a trap where like you breach stun all the way up here. As soon as they hit some chamber trap or something, you put like a chamber trap here. Where did it go? So you put like a chamber trap here, breach stun goes all the way up here, and you nade off of it or something, right? You could do, there's so many different things you could do, so many ways that you could fight for map control, that you shouldn't be doing the same thing every round. Otherwise, you're going to be predicted. You're going to get counterplayed. That's just how the game works. And even then, you still have the TPs, which are really strong in of themselves. Like this really cool play that I saw. What's their name? Team Liquid do. They did this really strong play. They had a Sage. If you watch some of my older videos, you'll see this. They Sage walled this right side. They breach stunned this right side, like this, right? And then they had a couple players. I forget who it was. Maybe it was KO. Maybe it was Sky. I don't remember what it was. But two players took the TP and they flashed the TP and they fought for all this. They fought for all this map control, which is something you don't expect. It's like a trap. It's an aggressive play that you don't really expect. And this was on their pistol round. So that's really cool. Now, before we get into the examples, a couple things I want to talk about. Teleporters, they're really useful. One for rotating, two for creating these set plays. So let's say, for example, you try to go split B, right? But you get stuffed. You can use these teleporters early in the game to condition your opponent that you're not afraid to use these. So later in the game, when you're doing a B split or an A split or defaulting, whatever you're doing, you're always going to have at least 2 to 3 people on each site, and you won't run into some like crazy stack, right? That's what the teleporters are really good for. Kind of awkward though, because if you don't have that map control in the first place, it is a little awkward because you have to like quickly re-clear all this area, or like someone could be peeking you here, or if you take this teleporter, someone could be waiting for you here with some like trap or something you should be careful of. But yeah, the teleporters are really fun and you should use them. I think they're unique. People don't like this map, but it is what it is. In A short, this is the one gripe I have about this map. It's just such a narrow choke point, and you can't really default up it. I mean, you can't really... I have short control. Like, no, you don't. Like, you can't really sit in a cubby. You can't really sit anywhere in here. You can't really take short control. It just doesn't exist. Which is a big gripe that I have about this map and the rotation times. But, yeah, wanted to get that out of the way before we get into some examples. I want to make sure I covered everything. Yes. And then what I said about defense also applies to offense. You want to fight for these areas of the map, but you don't want to use too much utility so you have none for the site hit. The same purpose applies. If you take this, you want to make sure that you hold it, right? Like say, for example, you do a B split, you want to make sure somebody stays hookah so that you can spam from CT, or you can play a crossfire, or you can fight elbow with your teammate or something. If you take long, somebody should probably stay long. If you have 3 on site, you don't think that's enough, maybe they got some ultis, send 2 people into elbow and just leave 1 person on site by themselves, or send 3 people to elbow. You don't really need site control. But the same concept applies, is what I'm trying to say. Map control on bind is important. It's really important because I just talked about it, but it's also not as important because it's a very site hit heavy map. Like it's a very execute heavy map. You sort of just need to go. Once you're out of hookah, you just need to go. Once you're up short, you just need to go, right? So that's just how it is. And if they want to do something like trap play the TP, you can counterplay it by taking the TP and going back around, like that type of thing. It's a very fast-paced map where map control matters, but not as much. It matters, right? But it shouldn't be your main focus, is what I'm trying to say. And then there's other plays like I've seen teams do things where like they'll just run up, they'll like 5-man up short, right? But then they'll just sage wall. They'll just sage wall this like area, but even then this isn't really that good because you just need to have a really good like U-haul like hold because you don't have showers, and then it's really hard for the post plant. But this can work. I've seen teams do this because this is an awkward wall to break, or I've seen teams do they'll smoke hookah, they'll smoke CT, and they'll just 4-man up long or 5-man up long, and they'll just run into elbow and take site, and they'll just completely forget about hookah because hookah is awkward to jump out of and hard to exit out of. So I just said a lot. I talked about map control, how you should be playing for it when you're playing defense, how you should be playing for it when you're playing offense, the types of ways you can hold map control, whether if it's traps, aggressive plays, that type of thing, etc., etc. I talked about, those plays. I talked about this, and that. Okay, I think you guys get it. You guys get how you should be playing on bind. So let's get into examples. And I got some examples from this NRG versus Evil Geniuses gameplay. So we're starting off with round 1 to 4. Can I up the quality on this? No, it's already edited this. So this round is okay. So this is a really creative shower take from EG. So they know that Energy has been fighting showers quite a bit, and this is like a really cool set play that they have. So they know that they'll fight it, and like I said, you don't want to be predictable with how you're playing for showers or for any part of the map because teams are going to counterplay that, right? And this is an example of that. So you're going to see EG is going to be. They know that they're fighting showers. They sky flash. You know someone's in there. They dog it. See someone in there. They're like, okay, well, you're gonna die in there. So they have a fade suck. You probably didn't catch it, but she threw it somewhere over shorts where it landed at the entrance here. So if they tried to leave, they would get tethered. And then they brim ulted this, and then it's just like, okay, yeah, you're screwed, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. So gets brim ulted, and then Tex gets one still, but like this is a really creative shower stake. And then they probably didn't have anyone playing in U-Haul because you don't ever want to play in here against a Brim ult because it's a death sentence if you ever play in there. His ult covers the entire thing. So Braze was able to take full sight, and yeah, they won the round. So that's a really creative showers take, and like I said, you don't want to be predictable when fighting for map control. So let's go over to round 1 to 5. This is... Oh, so this is what I meant by this is an aggressive play that you can do. So they know they've been fighting for it, breaking their util and whatnot. So Energy's like, okay, well, let's do this. They throw this crazy fade eye that lands up here on this roof, and then they smoke it, and then it pings people through the smoke, so they could probably like get some free kills, right? And they almost did. They almost killed a guy through the smoke. But then they're like, okay, we just did this crazy thing. Let's fall back. Let's play for sights now. We're kind of low on util. Raze doesn't have a nade anymore to stall. And we probably shouldn't throw. But the issue here is that Energy is like, okay, maybe this is some form of trap play that they have, but they gave up long and they gave up hookah. And once you give it up, it's kind of hard to take some parts of the map back. I don't know. This is going to look really awkward. So Hayes is spotting for long with the EU. They're both spotting it, right? But then I don't know what the comm was, but Sam decides to throw his Roomba back into hookah. And then Hayes makes a solo play out long all by himself as Astro without any stars or anything. He just swings, it looks like, maybe. I don't really know. Then they go Raze Rocket for Raze Rocket after already losing long. I mean, if you're feeling the pressure, if you're feeling like you're getting pressured from long and hookah, you probably don't want to keep fighting because, like I said, you're just going to get traded out, or even worse in this case. Play for elbow, then just play the retake. So let's say, for example, they did play the retake. Maybe Hayes gets like a kill through the smoke, and then he has an Astro Wall for retake. Plus they have Raze Rocket, plus full breach utility. I don't know. It's just unfortunate. I don't know. I don't really like the way that Energy played it, but it still shows you the concept, right? It shows you an aggressive play that you can do, but then it shows what you need to do after you're done fighting for these map control areas, for these parts of the map. You need to give up and not throw, because had they have stayed alive, they would have had all this utility for the retake. While these guys, if you look at what they don't have a lot. They don't want any Brim Smokes anymore. I think you might have just deployed them, but you get what I'm saying. They don't have anything anymore. Whatever. It is what it is. So we're going to the final round now, what happens in this round? Oh, so they go for a fast shower stake. So something I didn't mention before was how if you do give up certain parts of the map. Did I really close out of this? I did. I'm a bot. If you do give up certain parts of the map, it is okay to re-clear it. You can use like a Skydog to re-clear showers after you already lost it. You can use a flash to re-clear to fight for it again. You can do these things. And that's really strong because it gives you information as to whether they're rotating or sort of like what they're doing. You need to re-clear. Depending on your timing and their timing, it just depends when, right? Because let's say, for example, they take showers, then they wait, and then you re-clear, and then they rotate. It's kind of like, okay, well, that's tough. But that's something you could do. It's like, okay, let's let them have showers, right? And then we'll do some flash double peek, right? What you're about to see here. So they let them have showers this round. So they're in there, right? This guy's getting ready to dog. They know that they're in there. And Breach is like, okay, let's get ready to do this. This is probably some set plate that they got. Breach is getting ready to flash. These guys are getting ready to swing. Might have been a second too late. I don't know. But they get dumpstered on. I think Sam here needs to continue, swing farther. He gets one, but he needs to swing even farther, I feel like. Yeah. Yeah, had Sam swung out farther, they'd probably win this round. So it's just like, It's unfortunate because these examples are really good, but it just shows that these little mistakes can cost you, right? But they still had the right idea. This is how you play the map. They're playing it correctly. They gave up showers this round. They're trying to be unpredictable. They did a little flash double peek, which is smart. I mean, it's a good play. It just, Sam needs to swing out farther and get the trades, and maybe they could have done it quicker. I don't know. But it still shows you the overall arcing concept. So yeah, those are the examples that I had. That's how you should be playing bind. And yeah, one thing I wanted to mention was that a lot of teams will run Viper, right? They'll do like this lurk wall. I think they throw it from here. They do this lurk wall plus smoke. The reason why you see Chamber like so much on this map is because he could just throw a tripwire here and just call it a day, and then only have to watch short. And then if a team runs a breach, they'll just like stun off of it or something. They just need the information as to whether or not somebody's pushed up this far. Or they'll have their chamber play in this spot. Like they'll have their chamber play somewhere in short, and he'll have a TP so they can get out, and he can sort of deny this Viper lurk. It's just really useful. Because you don't really fight for short. But with this Viper wall and Viper orb, you can sort of take short control. It's weird. And her wall, the more you put it up and down, the more it creates a lot of pressure. So, we talked about defense. We talked about parts of the map you want to take and how you should be taking them. Ways not to be predictable, types of plays that you can run. Offense is the same thing. We talked about the teleporters. We talked about crossfires. We talked about everything. We talked about how the map should be played, or like an exec map, this type of map, that type of map. And then I showed you guys some examples as to how you should and shouldn't be playing them. And yeah, I think we covered all the bases. So Bind's not that bad of a map in my opinion. I think it's okay. It's a fast-paced map, and I like the teleporters. They're creative, they're unique, and I don't know. I think people are just a little too harsh on it. So I hope you guys learned something from this. I know I did, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.